Thank you, sir. Well, Madam Chair. President, whatever that person.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm with
The
you.
start of my day. Good evening. Tonight is January 22nd and it is 5:31 p.m. And we will be starting this evening with Ms. Solano.
Thank you, Madam Chair, City Council. I have a few city updates and we're going to run through these pretty fast as we're going to share the information sharing this evening. The first I want to start with, though, the 2024 State of the City Report is distributed this evening to all the councilors, and the mayor will file the report with the city clerk's office by the first Tuesday in February. That is required by the city charter. It's Article 4-4, paragraph 3. This year, the first Tuesday due date is February 6th. It will be filed with the city clerk's office by then, and it is already out on the city's website for anyone to access. And you have the printed version distributed this evening. I want just to move on to a reminder for all counselors that to tie up your schedules and calendars for Saturday, February the 3rd. It is the 2024 City Council work retreat to start with breakfast at 8 a.m. And Councilor Maestri has sent all of you a draft agenda somewhere to end by the middle of the afternoon-ish, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's see. The next update I have is titled Just FOIA. And it is the title of our Open Colorado Records CORA requests. They were previously in the city, had to be either emailed or submitted in person at the clerk's office with a digital PDF form that could be very difficult to fill out and to sign. But now with this Just FOIA, all CORA requests can be entered into on a web page and be digitally signed. This new system will allow the clerk's office and the fire department to better track the CORA requests and the statutory timeline requirements that go along with it, and also allow for duplicate requests to be completed more quickly as they can be tracked more easily. The new web page will also direct the community to where they might find the information they seek already on the website that is already public, so they don't have to request a CORA form for what the information they're looking for. And it will also keep track of the activity and all the correspondence, so any staff member can jump right into responding to the request and the status. We will definitely be able to better summarize end of the year reporting and information on all of the requests that have come in. I think that we'll be able to see the link. This is how it looks on the city's webpage here, and Clyde pulled that up for everyone to see. So the link is available on the city's webpage at pueblo.us. And if I can, I'm going to turn over the next update to Judge Sykes for an introduction into the city's CAFE project. And from there, we'll go to City Clerk Marissa, who has an update on the election, and then back to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Solano.
Hello, members of council. I just wanted to come and let you know about the CAFE project. I think I might have talked to a couple of you previously. Last summer, the court was accepted into a nationwide program through the National League of Cities. It's called Courts Assessing Fines and Fees Equitably. And so we have been participating in that program. We got initially a $10,000 grant. Now we've been approved for another $30,000 grant to participate in this program. And the first stage of that was to gather some data to find out what populations our fines and fees are impacting the most. And then the second part of that grant is to try and develop a program to help diminish the impact on our community members by fines and fees. And so what the court has done is it has developed it's going to be a fines reduction day and resource fair for our defendants, and we're targeting those people that have fines and fees and collections or past due. And we're sending out notice to them, and they're going to have an opportunity to reduce their fines by as much as 50% by participating in a financial empowerment program and financial counseling through our financial empowerment center that we now have at the city. So they go through the program, and then after they successfully complete, then their fines would be forgiven for a certain portion of that. And that really is to empower our citizens to become more financially aware so that they can better take care of their fines and fees, and not just with the court, but city fines and fees and their expenses in general. So that's our program. This program is going to take place on February 10th. So it's just coming up here in a few weeks. Representatives from the National League of Cities are coming out here a couple of days beforehand. So they're going to be observing in municipal court. They're going to be meeting with different city officials. And I would like to invite all of you to come to the program, number one, but also to meet with the representatives from the National League of Cities and find out more about the program and what the National League of Cities is doing to help people become more financially aware with this program. So if any of you are interested, please reach out to me and let me know, and we will set that up. We have some time slots. We're developing the schedule now, so we can plug you in for that. Part of this fine reduction day is also going to be a resource fair. So we're also having resources from the community from hopefully I haven't had a chance to confirm or reach out to Health Solutions, but we're hoping to have Health Solutions there. We're going to have a representative from Catholic Charities. We're going to have representatives from United Way. So we're going to provide information to the citizens too of other ways that they can get assistance if they're in financial need. So that's the conclusion of my update.
Thank you, Judge Sykes. And Marissa?
Yes, so tomorrow, January 23rd, 2024 is the election day. So for anyone that wishes to vote in the 2024 mayoral runoff election, they will need to have their ballots in by 7 p.m. tomorrow. Again, that's in possession of the city clerk's office, not in possession of the post office. We're not recommending that people mail their ballots at this point. You definitely want to hit one of our 5 24-hour drop box locations. That's at the State Fair, the Land Branch Library, CSU Pueblo, the county courthouse, and the county elections office. Or if you want to come in person, my office will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow. We have a drop box there. And also, if you have any ballot issues, you're welcome to come to our office to get a replacement ballot if you've spilled your coffee all over it. One thing I want to mention is that we have had some calls about citizens who are concerned because they haven't received a text message or an email that their ballot has been received. And I just want to inform everyone that that is a Secretary of State system that's only accessible to county clerks. And the city, unfortunately, is not able to make use of that during this election. So if people are concerned about if we've returned their ballots, they can call the city clerk's office and we can manually check to see if we've received their ballots if they are concerned about it. And then again, information about the election results will be available on the city's website and on the city's social media, probably around 7:30 for the first unofficial results. And then hopefully we'll finish it up and get all of the results out later that evening. Hopefully we'll have processed all the ballots by then, but it'll kind of be determined on what kind of turnout we have tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, Judge Sykes, could you please send us a calendar invite for your event so that we could respond that way? And that way, you know, we're coming. Thank you. Ms. Solano?
Thank you. And we'll wrap up city updates with a reminder, and it's been on the media, I believe, that the demolition of the Albany building began today, located at 125 East 7th Street. It's scheduled for about the next 45 days. And there are a number of risk mitigations to ensure the public health and safety. There may be some partial traffic diversions on 7th Street and Albany, but just wanted to remind everyone that news that is out in the news media, and demolition did begin today.
Okay.
And that does conclude city updates. If you have any questions or directions for me.
Any questions from council? Okay. All right. So we'll start with our first guest tonight, Mr. Romero and his team. Welcome, Mr. Romero.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of City Council and Mayor's Office. I'm so happy that you embrace this idea of bringing on guest legislators so that you can get to know them and the issues that they're presenting in the 2024 legislative session. We are pleased to have two legislators, Representative Ty Winter and Senator Byron Pelton. Representative Winter represents a portion of Pueblo. He lives in Trinidad, where my family's from, and where my dad was a coal miner. And when the coal mine shut down, we moved to Pueblo. So I'm so privileged to have both of them. Just so you know, Senator Pelton represents Logan, Morgan, Phillips, Sedgwick, Washington, Weld, and Yuma counties. And I believe he's the county commissioner as well. So I'm just so pleased for them to present to you House Bill 1027 and have them talk to you about it. And if you have questions, they'll try to answer those questions. They know they only have about 3 to 5 minutes, and I'll let them go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. Really appreciate it. A kindred spirit for sure, and the whole Romero family. Thank you all. Thank you for having us this evening. It's an honor to be in front of you, and it's an honor for you to let us speak to you about House Bill 241027, exemption for children's products. When we sat down and we developed this bill, we were looking at everything that, you know, our constituency and the citizens of Colorado are going through, and it's getting harder and harder to survive with the inflationary rise that we've seen in this state. And then anybody that, you know, is raising children right now knows how hard it is. So, you know, we really looked at a bill. We truly believe this is a nonpartisan bill. This is a good bill for the state. It falls within values on both sides of the aisle. And at the end of the day, we pulled this legislation bits and pieces in other states where it's working. You know, one of the big points of the bill is it's going to make baby and toddler products tax exempt. And right there at the point of sale, it's going to be saving families money, and they're going to be able to put that money back in their pocket. The second part of this bill comes out of the state of New Mexico, and they do like a tax-free holiday. So before the children go back to school, students and families are able to go in and buy school supplies and school clothes and not pay tax on that, which at that point allows them to keep that money in their pocket.
And one of the discussions that we had is, especially with my experience with Department of Human Services as a former county commissioner, is that these are products and things that are very difficult for people to afford, especially now during these times that we're dealing with. And one of the things that when I spoke to Rep. Winter about getting on this bill is like, you know, the city of Sterling in Logan County has dealt with a very low income, and the citizens are having to come up and help these people. And we just figure out if there's a better way of doing things and cutting taxes and keeping more people or more money in people's pockets, we're just better off that way. So that I really appreciate you guys considering and listening to this, and really appreciate maybe moving forward. So.
Well, thank you. I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair, to see if there are questions from City Council.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for coming in, being our first visitors of the year. And any questions from council? Councilor Martinez.
Thank you, Representative Winter and Senator. Just for your own awareness, the city actually had an ordinance last year that removed all local sales tax from diapers and menstrual products and continence products. So it's very similar. I'm curious if you can actually specifically name the products that will be tax exempt in your proposed legislation.
Okay, so like the baby toddler products, and excuse me, I've got to read from the list, but crib, playpen, or play yard, baby stroller, baby safety gate, cabinet locker latch, electrical socket cover, baby monitors, bicycle child carrier seat or trailer, baby exercise jumper, bouncer seat swing, breast pumps, bottle sterilizer, bottle or nipple pacifier, teething ring, baby wipes, a changing table or pad, and baby and toddler clothing.
That's great work. Thank you.
Also, just to let you know, I want to finish off if you don't, and then when we look at the school supply part of it, which is the second part of this bill that we think is so important, is, you know, you're going to get $100 for an article or clothing or bag, $50 for school supply, $30 for learning aid, and $1,500 for personal computer or personal computer related accessories. So, I mean, there are some exceptions made, and at the end of the day, is it going to cover the cost of all of this? But no, it's going to help families. And here's the thing that's nice about it, and you're going to understand this as being part of council, is that these people are going to take this money that they're saving in their pocket. It's going to help them, but they're automatically going to turn around and reinvest it in their community, whether it's in groceries or anything else that a family may need, gas at the pump. So we look at this as a real win-win. And, we're hoping to gain support, and, we're hoping that, you'll take a look at this bill and get behind a good piece of legislation that's going to help not only the constituents of Colorado, but really help Pueblo.
Mhm. Anyone else? Mr. Councilor Gomez.
Can the representative from Logan and Yuma County, can you please pronounce your last name and spell it?
Oh, it's Byron Pelton, Pelton.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, that seems to be for that. Mr. Romero, did you want to continue?
Well, I just want to thank Senator Pelton and Representative Winter. And, Senator Pelton doesn't represent Pueblo, but he is an incredible senator. And Representative Winter is in his first term, and he's doing a great job of representing Pueblo. So I want to thank both of them. And we'll, obviously put this on the agenda for the city to decide whether they want to take a position. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you all. God bless and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know we only have 15 minutes. I want to go through a couple of things after our last meeting. One of the things that I wanted to review with the mayor and city council is that what we plan on doing over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks is either trying to email each individual city council person and also the mayor, or call you. And I know that some of you have not set up your city cell phone service. But what we'd like to do is be able to just have a conversation with you about your district and the things that are important to you. I know that we've had discussions with Councilor Martinez about childcare. I know that each of you represents a district, and you may be more concerned about taxes or land use or housing or homelessness or drug treatment programs. So we want to get with you each individually. So myself or a member of my team will be reaching out so that if there are certain issues that you would like us to follow, we can really focus our bill tracker on some of the needs of the districts you represent. For my portion of the presentation this morning, or this evening, is I just want to talk to you a little bit about one of the surprises that occurred this last week at the legislature. Normally, this is the slow part of the state budgeting process. This is when they're looking at mid-year adjustments, supplementals, and then meeting with all of the different standing committees in the legislature. And then in the middle of the week, what we thought was going to be a fairly simple presentation by the Joint Budget Committee, one of the analysts came in, Amanda Bickle, and she did a presentation on ARPA funding. And I know that the city has received federal funds and ARPA funding, but we really thought we were done with that discussion. All of the ARPA money's out. We thought that, at least from the governor's perspective and from the legislature, they thought they had until 2026 to spend the money. And all of a sudden they received new guidance from the federal government. And now all of those ARPA funds have to be spent by the end of this calendar year, 11 months. And they have to spend more than $1.5 billion. So I really want to alert the city council to that. I will have more information the next time we meet on some potential funding for the city that we can look at, including housing. These will be one-time funds. And I know that you all deal with the budget, but I think this is really a fascinating thing, because that's, when I spent my 8 years or 14 years in the legislature, 8 years of those was on the Joint Budget Committee. What they plan to do, and this is with the guidance from the federal government, is they're going to pull out all of the general fund out of the personal services lines of every agency and state government, and they're going to replace them with ARPA money. And they're calling it the big swap. And we sent that material out. We'll send you more information, but the amount of money that would be available for one-time funding would be about $1.5 billion. So more to come on that. I think there's incredible opportunity for the city for one-time funding on particular issues, and we'll provide you more information on that. So I'm going to switch it over to Ryan or Alec to talk to you about some of the bills we're following. I wanted to let you know that we have set up meetings with the city attorney every Friday, and we're getting his guidance in terms of priorities, in terms of his discussions with the Colorado Municipal League. So we're really moving pretty quickly, and I'm really excited about how much we've done in just the first couple of weeks of the session and in terms of representing the city.
Great. Thank you very much. Any more questions from council? All right. Thank you, Mr. Romero. Thank you, gentlemen, everyone.
We just wanted to review a couple of bills before we
That's right. I'm sorry.
No problem. Good evening, members of City Council and Mayor's Office. I just wanted to highlight two bills tonight. And the first one is Senate Bill 24002, Local Government Property Tax Credits Rebates. This bill is sponsored by Senator Roberts, Speaker McCluskey, and Representative Frizzell. This bill provides local governments the authority to establish incentive programs offering limited property tax credits or rebates to individuals participating in programs aimed at directly enhancing specific local concerns related to real property use. An area of specific local concern is defined as a utilization of real property within a municipality, identified by the governing body of the municipality as diminishing or unavailable according to verifiable data. The governing body deems this use necessary for preserving the health, safety, or welfare of the municipality's residents and makes an official declaration to that effect. The incentive programs established through resolutions or ordinances need to include findings, criteria for participant qualification, and undergo annual evaluations. The uniform application is required among property owners of the same class. The idea of this bill is to allow rebates for property owners that choose to rent to long-term residents or needed community services, such as childcare or mental health practices. Excuse me. The second bill that I'd like to discuss is House Bill 24-1028. This is the Overdose Prevention Center bill, sponsored by Representative Epps and Senator Priola. This bill specifies that the governing body of a municipality, which includes a city, town, and county, may authorize the operation of an overdose prevention center within the municipality's boundaries. And just for some additional context, a similar bill was introduced last year, which I'm sure you'll remember, and that one was killed in committee after the governor indicated his opposition. Over the summer, the Opioid Interim Committee tried to revive a similar bill, and they also added some additional reporting requirements and turned it into a pilot program, but the governor still indicated his opposition. So the Opioid Committee dropped that from their package of bills, and that was the last we'd heard of it until it was brought back by Representative Epps and Senator Priola. But the bill as is still opposed by the governor. So barring some significant amendments, this bill will not pass.
So those are the two. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
That's it. Those are the two that I just wanted to highlight. Those of you that have taken a peek at our bill tracker, there's many more, but we just want to try to highlight a few each week. And like Gil said, going forward, we'll try to narrow down our lists with the city attorney and bring you the most important bills.
That concludes our presentation, Madam Chair. I just want to again make sure that all the city council and the mayor's office is getting our bill tracker. So let us know if you aren't, so that we can again, and if you're having issues in terms of understanding how to use all of the features of the bill tracker, please let us know, and we can absolutely do a tutorial for you. And then with with the request of Senator Pelton and Representative Winter, I think they would ask that you at least consider taking a position on their tax credit bill. So thank you for the time tonight.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Well,
Okay,
no, we won't. We'll see
No.
you on the 5th.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. All right. And next on the agenda is the ARPA update.
Thank you, Madam Chair and City Council. We're going to tag team this, the Director of Finance and myself, but we might have to hunt her down for a minute, and I'm going to start it anyway. But Chief, could you help me find Alex? Aha, thank you. I want to start out. I missed Gail there. The city's received no information with respect to a change in the due dates. And if you pull up the slide deck that we have here, I do know, and I'm not sure that Mr. Romero is aware, that the distribution of ARPA dollars went directly to municipalities, and we received our own tranche of funds. And then there was a separate allocation that went to states. And so perhaps there's a differentiation in how the requirements are being executed or modified. But if there's additional resources, trust me, both Alex and I will be on the call tomorrow to the Department of Local Affairs, who's been administering from the state level. We both, I know, went immediately to the website, and I didn't find anything different. Did you?
I did see some information, but I think the way that we have our set up, we would be okay, but we do need to do some additional research.
All righty. So how we're going to start tonight is you have a significant packet, and we're not going to go through every line item. Alex, when we get to the numbers, we'll take it from me and then give you the opportunity to look at each of those projects, and then we'll come back with stated ones or specific ones that you have questions about. But you're driving. Next slide, please. So here's some background, though, and particularly for our new counselors. The Pueblo ARPA, and it came directly to the city, was awarded $36,407,001. No clue why the one. And we received those resources in two separate tranches of funds. We received on May the 11th of 2021, $18,203,500, and then received the second tranche of funds on June the 7th of 2022 in the same amount. The requirements that we know of and the compliance and reporting back to the federal government that we've received, Mr. Romero was correct in that we are required to encumber all of the funds from ARPA by 12/31 of 2024. But we have, following their rules to date, have to December 31st of 2026 to expend those funds. So we'll get that update and report back to you electronically if we know that there's any change. And what the funds could be used for is next slide. And so since May 11th of 2021, how we have followed in the city is an extension of the community brought forward and reported and requested funds to City Council. The mayor has made recommendations to City Council. City Council's then made recommendations to staff. And this is the areas where the funds have been spent. We were authorized to spend the funds to replace lost or public sector revenue, and those were governmental services. The maximum amount that could be expended by municipalities in this general area was $10 million. And so we told the federal government and the city of Pueblo that we intended to spend $10 million within the time frame allowed. And Alex will get to the amount that has been expended to date or approved to be expended to date. And the three other areas that ARPA allowed for was a respond to the far-reaching public health and negative economic impact of the pandemic. It was to support the health of communities, helping households, small businesses, impacted industries, nonprofits, and the public sector. And so all the different projects have been allocated in that one area. Or the second was to provide premium pay for essential workers, those who have and will bear the greatest health risk because of their service in critical sectors. And the city has made premium pay to our public safety first responders, as well as to general service employees who are out there on the front line as well. And the third area that ARPA allowed expenditures for was an investment in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure that would improve access to clean drinking water, to support the vital wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, and to expand affordable access to broadband. And so those were the required areas and only those areas for compliance with ARPA. We do have two items, I believe, on the agenda this evening. One a resolution and one on first reading that will, I hope council will address when we get to that point of the city council meeting. And I'll turn over the presentation now to Alex, who will take us through the numbers. Thank you.
Yes, so I am Alexandria Romero. For those of you who haven't met me, I am the Director of Finance here at the City of Pueblo, and I'm actually going to backtrack one slide. And so in my really quick looking that up about the ARPA changes, I think that the key piece is what I have here on this last line, which I updated. So previously it said funds must be obligated by December 31st, 2024, but I added the word encumbered, which encumbered means that we actually have like contracts and we are set to spend that. So I think that's the difference. I think that the state was obligating and they hadn't encumbered. So I believe we're fine with the way that we're going forward, but we will make absolute sure. But I think that's the key difference between where the state had it defined obligated and we had already begun looking at it actually being encumbered.
I just want to confirm for council, Alexandra is absolutely correct. That's the Department of Treasury in November proposed an interim rule that did add an additional definition of obligation to the rule, which would require them to actually be encumbered, meaning assigned to some contract or a specific project to be expended before 2026. And that's the difference in the state's rule versus the city's rule.
Perfect. So moving forward on our ARPA projects by pillar. So we have all the different pillars addressed on here: individuals and households, youth, community resilience, tourism, nonprofit, revenue replacement, infrastructure, small business, and administration. And you can see the number of projects for each one of those pillars, and that's from the beginning of ARPA through current. So all this is preliminary as we're still closing out the books for 2023. And here is the dollar amount for those projects that we have funded. And I will note that we have right here the 35 million, and it does show the entire amount of revenue replacement. And we will discuss a little bit further in my next slide. So this kind of shows a summary of the disbursements that we have made. So our community projects, those are all the non-revenue replacement items. The amount that we have awarded so far is 25.728 million. Of that, we have distributed or paid out just over 12 million, which puts us at 48%, with a remaining amount of 13.6 million. Then we look at the revenue replacement. So that entire 10 million has been allocated for the revenue replacement. Of that, we have appropriated 9.587 million, with 2.8 that we have spent. We still have a remaining $412,833.92 in the revenue replacement that we have not allocated. Then we come down to the bottom and it shows the total amount, which is the same as the previous slide of that 35.72 million. To date, we have earned with interest, we have $38,378,819.94 that was available for spending. Of that, we have the 28.3 that's for the community funds. You can see the breakdown again of those that have been awarded through council through December 31st, so the 25 million. Then our administrative costs are payroll. And so this is one of the pieces that we thought that we were going to be able to expend through 2026. But since we only are doing the budget on an annual basis, we won't actually have those payroll dollars encumbered for 25 and 26. So we now are just doing payroll through 2024. And that brings our remaining balance in the community ARPA funding to $2,649,952.32. And then below shows again the revenue replacement of that 412 that's still remaining. And then on the bottom, I think this is an important piece to note that to date, our CSAFE interest, so we have all these funds sitting in one CSAFE account, has earned just under $2 million that we are able to put back towards allocating to the city. And so that's actually where I'm going to end my presentation. I know there's a lot of information that follows this. It is all the details of all the projects that we have done since the inception. So it gives you the ordinance number, what the project name is, the amount that's been awarded, the amount that's been distributed through 12/31, with that caveat that this is preliminary. There might be some more that are coming up on that distributed amount, what percentage that has been distributed, and then the remaining amount. And so if you have any questions about this, I know this is a lot of information, but you can take this back and look through it. And then if you have any additional items you want to discuss, please just let me know. But I will take any other questions at this time.
Any questions from council? Councilor Flores?
Yes, thank you. As you know, I turned it on. As you know, the city provided close to $5 million to our businesses right at the height of COVID. And I'm curious, because I know that small business is included in here. Did we backfill that money back into the half-cent sales tax, or was that in addition to this ARPA money? I don't remember. I know that we talked about it.
Okay, Laura's going to help.
I think that preceded Alex to the city. So
Okay.
here's the direction that came at the height of, I think, COVID, which was in 2020, when city council made the decision for the 5 million. Any repayments had to, by required financial rules, to go back to that same fund. So they did not, we didn't cross mingle any funds with ARPA or any general fund. Any repayment that was made on loans was replaced back into that same half-cent sales tax fund. Any grant award, of course, was not required repayment.
So the grant money that we awarded will stay as an expense to the half-cent sales tax fund.
It did at the end of that year.
Okay.
Yeah, that time period was in 2020.
Okay.
So prior to ever receiving any word of ARPA, council had made that decision to support the small businesses by their application, and grants went out the door, and loans went to 33 businesses, I believe. And any repayment of those going back, the repayments go back to the half-cent sales tax fund.
Okay. And then the other question had to do with this interest earned. Is that been expended, or is that sitting somewhere, and has anybody figured out how we could use that money?
So that has been added to the total amount. So every single month that we get the interest report, we put it into our ARPA calculations. So when you see this total amount of 38.378 million, that does include that 1.9. So we are plugging it in and having it available for ARPA at that point that we receive it.
And then my last question has to do with whether or not any of the entities that have been awarded a contract maybe did not follow through and did not complete their project, whatever. Do we know what that number is in those funds coming back into the fund?
Yes, and so that is one piece that we are working on, because we do have to make sure that everything's encumbered by the end of the year. So we're looking at some of these that we know the project is completed, but they did have some remaining monies. A perfect example is the Pueblo Library. Their summer reading program has about 54,000, I think, that was left over. So we will be bringing that back in, and then that can be reallocated to another program. And so you'll be seeing that resolution here in February.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any questions? I think you gave us this we just saw this here at the meeting. And so I think we will bring it up at retreat and see how we would like to move forward. We can have a, because we probably need a larger discussion before we go back into allocating or reallocating funds or spending any more money. So thank you very much. And our next guest, thank you, Ms. Romero. Thank you. Appreciate it. Our next guest is for Mr. Hippolyte, Ms. Romero again, and Mr. Hayes for the street utility tax.
Good evening. So we will be going through the street utility repair timeline at first. So this shows all the different ordinances in order of when this was first referred to the ballot in August of 2017, then through the passage, the establishment of that enterprise fund, the establishment of what the amounts were going to be, and then our agreement with the Board of Waterworks. Going to us doing the monthly repair service charges amendment in the end, actually mid-August 2019. And then the monthly charges began on January 1st, 2019. And those went through December 2022, at which time we started the 12-month suspensions for 23 and 24.
So just to give council an update on the legal status of the street repair utility, it's a municipal enterprise, and under the Colorado Constitution, that means that it is a government-owned business that can charge fees and provide specific services related to those fees. As is defined under our municipal ordinance, it has the power to coordinate, design, conduct, manage, operate, maintain, and repair streets. Has the ability to issue bonds without a vote of the people, but it's prohibited from taking more than 10% in grants from the state or any local governments, including the city. City council sits as the ex officio board of the street repair utility. That means as your capacity as a city councilor gives you a seat on the board. The public works director, Mr. Hayes, is the director of the enterprise, who's responsible for the enterprise administration. And the city's mayor is responsible for the grieving and hearing process for any customer that either disputes the amount that is charged or the charges that were taken out.
Good evening. This slide just reminds council the street repair utility fees that are in place by ordinance right now. So again, these fees have been suspended for 2022 and 2023 and 2024. But it does have 5 different rate categories that are charged based on whether you're a residence up to a large retail business. Those fees vary from $3 per month up to $100 per month. So this was just a refresher on those, since it's been a while since we've seen the fees actually in effect.
Our next slide shows the revenue and expenditures from 2019 when this first was implemented through 2023. So our revenue went from 1.9 million in 2019 to 2.9 in 2020 and 2021. And then below you can see the expenditures. So we did spend in total across the 5 years here, 7,049,000. And also, if you look at the revenue across the top, that comes to 7.8 million. So in total, we are positive revenue over expenditures of just under 800,000.
So this last slide is really designed to facilitate a conversation about some what I would say recommended cleanup for the street repair utility enterprise, to the extent and should council decide after this particular budgetary year to reinstate the street repair utility and the street repair utility fee. Some specific things sort of go in order. The term charge and fee are used inside of the the ordinance. However, charge is not defined, but fee is defined. So cleaning up that language, and, you know, typically enterprises charge fees, they don't charge charges. So it might be a good idea in updating the street repair utility to make it clear and articulate that it's a fee that's authorized under the state constitution to avoid any confusion. Another update is in the original ordinance. It was passed at a time where the city had a council manager form. And so there's several references to the city manager. So it may be a good idea to clean that up and affirmatively move those responsibilities over to the mayor. Staff would also recommend expanding the requirement that the street repair utility reimburse the city. Currently, the street repair utility only has to reimburse the city for the cost that are incurred by the finance department in providing services for the street repair utility. Generally, to keep compliant with Tabor, that reimbursement requirement should be expanded to any services that are provided to the street repair utility by general fund city staff. The next portion, and this is probably more of a clarification and less of a change, but currently it's unclear based on my reading of the ordinance as to who has the authority to sign on behalf of the street repair utility, whether it's the mayor or the director of public works. That right now, as the street repair utility is not doing anything, that's not a big deal. But moving forward, to the extent that the street repair utility needs to take right of way, needs to issue procurements, sign contracts, so on and so forth, we want to be clear about who has the administrative authority to actually execute documents on behalf of the street repair utility. Another point of clarification that could be updated is currently the process for setting fees is the director of public works is required to commission a study to determine the appropriate fees to keep the street repair utility self-sustainable. That study is published, and then council is designated to set fees based upon that study. The language which is used to set the basis for the fees probably should be tweaked to allow for a little bit more flexibility. And additionally, the current fees that are set need to be set in accordance with whatever study that exists at the time. The current fees that are set now are well below the fees that were recommended in the study. We're going to have some additional conversation about that at the council retreat, but just for awareness, you need to align those two things together to ensure that you don't get an argument that your fees aren't reasonably related to the cost of providing the service. The next thing is much more of a legal request, but I would also request that some of the debt issuance language in the existing street repair utility get cleaned up. Some of the language is sort of out of date to how debt is issued and what type of debt instruments are issued. And it'd be a good idea for before we get to collecting the funds to give some more flexibility to the street repair utility and how it borrows and the type of financial instruments it uses to borrow. It'll allow it to access some federal government programs that can provide some long-term strategic funding to bond and do street repair services, like the Transportation and Infrastructure Administration's loan program and other programs like that. The next thing is the city's building procedure. Currently, the city uses the Board of Waterworks in their billing procedure and tax on its street repair utility to that. Whether that is best or not, that's probably a decision for council to make, but council should look at whether the street repair utility should have its own billing service or whether still using the Board of Waterworks is appropriate. The next thing is the appeal process. Currently, the appeal process designates the mayor as the hearing officer for all appeals. From a logistics and a timing perspective, that's probably not the best use and the highest use of the mayor's time to serve as a hearing officer. So it'd probably be appropriate to either remove the mayor as the hearing officer or give the mayor the ability to delegate those powers to, for example, an administrative law judge or another department director. And the last part of the street repair utility, and this is probably a more general conversation that we can get into at the retreat, but currently all violations of the street repair utility, so failure to pay your assessed fee, results in a criminal violation. I can't think of another bill a person would get for maintenance of their home that will result in a criminal violation where you could be subject to 364 days in jail. And I don't think that really was council's intention to make it a criminal violation if you don't pay the fee. Understand that the enterprise needs to collect the money to be able to complete the service, but that doesn't necessarily need to be done through a criminal proceeding. So there are many other areas of the city's code which probably could use the same update and allow the city to be able to, through civil penalty, enforce those charges and fees. But this is another area that I think probably council should take a look at. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hippolyte? We'll probably address this at the retreat and then continue from there. Mr. Hippolyte, thank you.
I have something I want to say
Oh.
to Mr. Hayes. Okay. I want to thank him and his staff for the work they've done in this community in terms of cleanup. They've brought dumpsters into the area and they themselves have showed up to work and work hard. They need to be applauded for that. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that being said, does anything else from council? Councilor
I
Flores?
forgot about, I know we're going to be talking about the street utility charge. I think we have to have a serious conversation about whether we even keep this in place.
Correct.
That's a subject that we can talk about at the retreat.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I thought we should
Mhm.
push it to retreat.
Great.
And then also, the public should be aware too that the retreat is open to the public if for anybody that wants to come in and observe, correct? We've done that in the past.
Madam Chair, the retreat is open to the public. It will also be recorded. It will be Zoomed.
Mhm.
There may be, council member or staff that you've asked to have report that it isn't able to be in the room. So it will be recorded on Zoom and then it will be released on the city's website, likely the following Monday.
The following Monday. So no Facebook Live or
No
anything like
Facebook
that.
Live,
Okay.
unless council's direction is to Facebook Live it while you're in the middle of it. It's a long day. I don't know how many of the constituents are interested in an 8:30 to 3 sort of
Mhm.
meeting. That's why the recording will take place and have access to it.
Alrighty. Well,
Or,
thank you.
or attend in person.
Or attend in person. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Oh, did you? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say it's a public meeting.
Mhm.
So it's a notice public meeting where the public has to have access. So
Mhm.
just like any other public meeting, like our work session.
Yeah, I'm just reminding the public because I don't always realize that, so thank you. All right. Well, with that being said, this time is 6:21 and we are adjourning. See you at 7. Thank you.